Okay. So this Sadhana Panchakam, Adi Shankara has composed this as a means to get introduced to the path of a spiritual life, to create the right environment and the practices, and how to keep ourselves, our mind, primarily our mind. And of course, the assumption is if you keep the body well, the mind remains well. So where to keep the mind, how to keep the mind in a certain way, and then stay established in that. How do you get into it? How do you nurture it? How do you protect it? And how do you stay established in it? Okay. So Panchakam is a quintet, 5 verses, where he is trying to, and it's very beautifully composed. It's just 5 verses, but there are 40 steps. Each verse has roughly about 8 steps. Steps, na, uh, uh, as he mentions it, as 8 things that one can do. So there are 40 things that one can do or one should do, has been indicated here. So the tam, vidhiyatam, matsujyatam, all of this is a way in Sanskritam. It's called, is it vidhilingma, Kalpaka? May, 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 may it be so, or let it be so, or may you do so. This is a particular tense in Sanskritam called vidhiling, where you are, there are 2 ways of living. One is instructing. Vidhiling is used for both, to instruct and also to let you do. So if you have to say, let him study, patyatam, or let him teach. Or you're telling, giving an instruction, pathatam. So let us study, let me, or we should study. It can go as an instruction also. So vidhiling lakara or that tense is used in both these forms. So we can take it whichever way. So if we take Adi Shankara as a guru or an acharya, he is willing to instruct. But if we take him as somebody who's just a wise man, a knowledgeable person, then we can take it as இப்படி பண்ணா நல்லா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம் தெரியுமா. So we can take him that way also. நீ யார் எனக்கு சொல்றதுக்கு அப்படின்னு, like who are you to tell me? So then he'll say, most of the masters are like that. Unless you get very close to them, you are in their presence, whether physically or non-physically, you are in that presence, in a way you have submitted yourselves to them, then only then they give instructions. For generally for everybody, they'll not give instructions. Abdi chuma pora varava, as they go by, they pass by, they meet somebody, they'll not suddenly start giving instructions like that. They will give what is known as words of wisdom. They'll say, no, this is the way it is. If you do this, it will be good. If you do it this way, this will be fine. This is the nature of things. But instructions are only given to very close disciples who consider themselves as a disciple of this guru. So they take it as an instruction. Like we spoke about even Sadashiva Brahmendra, before he became the Avadhuta Sadashiva Brahmendra, he took the words of the guru as an instruction. Chumma ire. The guru said, don't keep going around flaunting your scholarliness and knowledge. Chumma ire. He just said, I'm getting too many complaints about you. Why can't you just shut up? Do you have to go and flaunt around? Just shut up. that hit him badly. And he took it as a guru mantra. Right? So he took it as an instruction. And then what happened to him? He became an avadhuta. He became an avadhuta of the order much higher than his own guru. So the guru comes and tells that he is attained to a state which is much higher than I. He's lost complete body consciousness. He is able to go around without a single piece of cloth, but I still can't. Why? Because he took the words of the guru as an instruction. So the guru's glory is on one side, but the student's glory is much more when the words are taken up as an instruction and we we absorb it within us and we follow it for our own good. I remember saying this particular story. I've heard it from, I think, my guru or someone, where there is this very, very eager student. He's wanting to learn a mantra from a master. The master is coming into town and he is of a work, he is somebody who works in the Goshala, tends to cows and buffaloes and all that. Not very learned. This master is coming and teaching everybody Vedanta. And he himself is a very established spiritual master. He keeps and goes and keeps asking him, Gurudev, and he keeps a distance and says, Gurudev, I've heard so much about you. I don't understand what you're saying and all that, but I want to attain to that moksha or realization that you're talking about. Give me some mantra. So the master will say, what mantra will I give you? You just do what you're doing, right? He will keep kind of not paying heed to his request, and he'll keep saying that உனக்கெல்லாம் மந்திரம் கொடுக்க முடியாதுப்பா. And then he'll keep bothering him. So this man will keep bothering the master, saying that no, give me. Whenever he comes around, he'll say, please give me. And then one day he'll get out of exasperation. The master guru will say that சரி எரும மாடுன்னு சொல்லு, just go chant buffalo. So he'll take that seriously and he'll keep chanting that. And he will chant that so much so that next time the guru comes, he will suddenly see this man sitting with his eyes closed outside his kutia. And he will go near him and he will then address him by his name or whatever, and then bring him out of the meditation. And he'll say, what happened to you, Pa? You were running around behind me asking for mantra, and now suddenly I'm seeing this glow in your face, this shantam, this peace. What happened? Did somebody give you some mantra or something? He says, no, Gurudev, you only gave me. I said, what did I do? I never gave you any initiation. I didn't give you diksha. So no, you only told me do yarma madu. And I kept doing it. And then he says that in his consciousness, he explains that in his consciousness, he's this as he chanted. So he explains to the guru what happened to him, the process. As he chanted, intensified the chant, the experience of, so when he started visualizing the buffalo started growing big in his head, in his visualization, in his perception. And as he kept practicing, a certain point in time, the whole buffalo that is so big encompassed the whole perceptive world. The whole universe for him was this large buffalo. And then he was filled with that experience. Now, this is Vishwarupa Darshanam, right? Now, whether it be, why should God only come in the form of 100 heads and 200 hands and so on and so forth? This is his experience of Vishwarupa Darshanam. It's with one thing, one thought, one experience, when it becomes complete, Purna. That is all it takes. So then the Guru praises him and says that You've become greater than me. Because I used to think that this needs to be given only to Diksha needs to be given only to the eligible and all of that. But you have taken my word and you have converted that into a mantra. See, the power of the mantra the Guru gives is definitely there from his sadhana. But what we make of it is completely our journey. Right? We can be chanting that mantra for a lifelong lifetime and nothing may happen because we may not be doing it to the right intention with the right intensity. Intensity and intention, both of these things need to go together for us to see the fruits of that labor that we're putting in. So, like that, here Adi Shankara is presenting the whole Sadhana Panchakam as the way you want to take it, you take it. Basically, he's saying you take it the whichever way you want to take it. Take it as an instruction or take it as something that I'm suggesting as a suggestion. So, if you think that I am um, somebody who has some understanding, if there is some reverence that you carry for me, take it as a suggestion. Because if you look at it, whatever we call as Sanatana Dharma today, whatever we refer to as Sanatana Dharma, has significant amount of effort put in by Adi Shankaracharya to revive it to the present state. Subsequently, Acharyas came, they debated on the philosophies and all of that. That is the secondary matter. But in terms of the momentous work that has been done by Adi Shankara is phenomenal. It's unparalleled. Every person, whatever faith or whatever belief system within the Sanatana Dharma or so called the Hindu umbrella that one follows, everybody has great deep reverence to Adi Shankara. Right? Even those who had other philosophies, they propounded other philosophies which rejected some aspects of Adi Shankara's philosophy, they still had significant reverence for him as somebody who revived this whole culture, which was kind of becoming um, dissipating off in many different ways. So, if at all today we have so many temples that are being worshipped and temples that are being celebrated, if at all we have so many shlokas and mantras on different deities, huge contribution by this one individual called Adi Shankara. And there may have been other Shankaracharyas who would have come later and created a few works and attributed to him. But nevertheless, whatever Adi Shankaracharya did is still phenomenal in many ways. Right? So, this particular to that context, or the reason we are setting this context is so that we know that this work is coming from a person who has lived all his life in the complete absorption of knowing the self, being in that realized state, and he is giving suggestions, he is giving instructions. So he's done it as 5 different verses as Panchakam, and you see them as 40. You open up this thing PDF when you can. It's more like 40 steps. You could call it as 40 steps, but they are not necessarily one. I mean, you can see it as one after the other, but it could also be seen as some. You would go cyclical in many ways. It's not linear necessarily. Some steps you go and then you come to a certain point and then you may have to walk certain steps again, and so it can go a little here and there, right? But just because it has to be structured in a certain way, it is structured in a linear fashion. So how does it start? It starts with Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam Tat Uditam Karma Swanushtiyatam. Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam Tad Uditam Karma Swanushtiyatam. So he starts, that's the first step. He says Veda Nityam adhiyatam. May you study the scriptures daily. Nityam. Regularly. We can look at the word nityam as either daily or regularly. So, what is he saying? Study the Vedas regularly. We'll do the direct translation and we'll look at the how we interpret it for our, how do we take it for our practice. Vedaha nityam adhiyata. May you study the scriptures or the Vedas regularly. Then tat uditam karma swanushthiyatam. Then after that, may you do the uditam, ordained karma. Whatever karma has been, duties have been given to you, karma swanushthiyatam. Follow those with, to the best of your ability, to the best of your capability. Then teneshasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Apachitihi. So honor. Teneshasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Whatever actions that you do, those actions, offer it as a worship, to honor it to the Lord. Do it as an honoring or an offering to the Lord. This is the third stage, third step. Then he says, Kamye matis tyajyatam. Kamye matis tyajyatam. Renounce desires in the mind. Matihi tyajyatam. Kama, in the whatever kama that is there, in your mind, renounce the kama. Okay, that is the fourth step. Then fifth step, he goes on to say, Papaughav paridhuyatam. Papaughav paridhuyatam means shake off or wash off any papa that you carry. Okay. The next is bhava sukhe dosha anusandhiyatam. Know that whatever sukha that is there in this bhava, in this world, is embedded with dosha. It has some kind of dosha or pain embedded in the sukha that you are experiencing in the world. Recognize this. That is the sixth one. Seventh, he says, Atmecha vyavasiyatam. Atma icha vyavasiyatam, which means desire to understand or seek or recognize the self. Have this desire, this icha. And the last one in this verse, he says, Nija grihaturnam vinirgamyatam. Nija griha aturnam vinirgamyatam, which means வீட்டு விட்டு ஓடி போயிடு. Says run away from your house. The first verse itself, he is saying that. Now, couple of ways of looking at this. One is that it may appear that it is very, very regimented and very strict in terms of saying you do this, and then you can read this and say that idella enakku seri padadpa. Right? My father always had a problem with Buddha. He said, how can he leave his family and go? I like, Papa, look at what he came back as. And then the conversation will be like, which means everybody can leave the family and go away? No, only if you know that you can come back like the Buddha, maybe you can. Right? Or if the calling is so severe and intense that you can't be stopped. Like somebody asked Ramana, Bhagavan, you are telling us be with your family, do everything, yet we have a lead a spiritual life. You came running away from your parents' house, not to Arunachalam. From Madurai, you came to Tiruvannamalai. How is that okay? And, Ramana said, I was not sitting and asking somebody like this. நான் உன்ன மாதிரி இப்படி கேட்கலையே யார்கிட்டயும். Which means I was not sitting and waiting and asking somebody, should I go? Should I not go? Is it the right thing to do? No. Swami Raghavendra also. Actually, my father has a problem with Raghavendra Swami also. He has a lot of reverence. I'm not saying that. But it's just that he's not able to get to terms with. And many of us are not able to get to terms with this. That those same people who will tell you that no, family is important, you can't get away, you can't run away, you have to be here, you have to do this, all of that. They themselves would have had led a life where they would have dropped all this and then they would have come. Right? Most of the sannyasis who are taken sannyasa will come and give you um, instructions, or they'll give you um, the advice on how to lead a family life. They themselves wouldn't have led a family life, but they'll come and give you advice on family life. Same problem Adi Shankara had, which is why he had to take the body of a king for a day and then come back and say that the experience of a samsari, because at the age of 8 he took sannyasa. How would he ever know what it means to be a samsari? But the important thing to understand is, as we said, if there is this burning desire to attain to that, and you realize within you, you know that I am caught up and I need to go and explore, and I can't, I feel suffocated, I'm not able to do, then go. That's the idea. Then go. It's not about sitting and deliberating, is it the right thing to do or not? Example is given usually if you want to, for example, if you want to visit the toilet and if your bladder is full, will you go and ask somebody? Is it the right time to go to the toilet? You won't, right? It becomes a physical urgency. So in that way, if there is a psychological urgency of some kind, or this can also be termed as a spiritual urgency, there seems to be an urgency sometime within us, then we should address that urgency. The thing is, a lot of us are not that urgent. That urgency doesn't rise within us so much. Only when there is a problem, suddenly seemingly this urgency will rise. I should drop everything and go and all that. But we don't know what to do. We don't know. Can you remain with that resolve and that urgency and take it up as a sadhana and then focus and do what you want to do? We won't be able to do that. Go where? Exactly. Where will you go? There is no place to go where you can escape from yourself, anyways. Right? There is no escape from yourself. This mind that you carry, the complications that you carry within you, the aspirations, the desires, the complexities that we are, this bundle, this mass of complexities, wherever we go, we are carrying this. Whether we go to sit in a very secluded space in, say, Vashishta Gufa in Rishikesh, or we are sitting here, or we go to beautiful place like Sri Sailam, wherever we go, we are still carrying ourselves. The environment change, but you notice the same place, you will find somebody who is not so much into spiritual sadhana. Right? He will go to this place, this is such a beautiful place, it's such serene, such all of this is there, and you'll see a person standing there and selling kadala. Now you can be that person, no? If you end up and you familiarize yourself with the place enough, you will start thinking about, okay, how to make my livelihood. You'll also start a shop, you'll start selling something, you will want to make ends meet, you want to do something. So the important thing is not so much of the space or the place, but it is important. That is the interesting thing. It is important, but the intention and the intensity is more important. Now, how does this develop? Which is what Adi Shankara is now saying. He is saying that now we have indicated here that this the first verse is the basis of spiritual life, which means through the brahmacharya, through the grahastha, how do you establish this practice, the basis of what is spiritual life, and then you develop it through. So he says, Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam means read scriptures daily, means regularly. Scriptures means what? This is called as Swadhyaya. We've always spoken about this, right? Always, and this is something that I recommend to everybody, whoever is having some interest or incline in the spiritual path, is to make sure that at a given point in time, you're always having one book that you're reading, right? You may read a couple of pages of that book. You may get time, you may not get time, but have one book. This period of time, I'm reading this book. I'm not talking about Sidney Sheldon and Enid Blyton. I'm talking about the books that are going to help you orient your mind in the direction of inner exploration, which is what our focus is. That, of course, if there is interest in reading other literature, by all means. We're not saying that the literature is lesser in any sense, but this needs to happen. This is what he is saying. Vedam, Vedaha Nityam Adhiyatam. Vedam Nitya Adhiyatam. So, which means you regularly look at a scripture. For example, you picked up, I don't know, Viveka Chudamani, or you have taken up some work of some Acharya, or some book of some, maybe you're reading Swadhyaya Pravachane. You've taken some, you probably have picked up what's his name, Eckhart Tolle, right? Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now, beautiful book. There are many such books. You go into the self-help and motivation section, but I'm not talking necessarily about just self-motivation. I'm talking about works or books that helps you deepen your inner exploration. It makes you turn inwards. Pick up Jiddu Krishnamurthy's book. Pick up so many translations of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, this, that, and the other. So many works that are there that are written and authored by masters who have had that deep inner experience and have one book at a given point in time. And this book, Nisargadatta, I Am That, superb book. It's a brilliant book. Get an opportunity, lay your hands on it, read it. It's a lovely book. And then there is his Shishya. His name is Ramesh something. He is also Nisargadatta Maharaj's Shishya, disciple. He has written another book similarly. So there's many such books that will orient your mind when your mind goes off in a tangent or gets drawn or completely absorbed into the day-to-day samsara. It helps you reorient yourself, right? Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam karmasvanushthiyatam. அதுக்காக வேலையை விட்டுறாத, which means don't leave your day job. The karma that you need to do, you have to continue doing. Now, in this case, it's karma is all the nitya karma, nitya anusthana that you do and all that. But in our case, we try to bring a reference back to us. There is this Swamini Ma. Remember, I was telling you we are going for a yatra in October next year, God willing. Swamini Pramananda. So I was telling Ma that I'll bring a group along, and then she was very happy. She said, "Yeah, And then I was telling, these are, we do as a satsang group, we do these things and all that. And then when I call her next time, then he's like, Sudarshan, you're still continuing to work, right? I said, yes, ma, that I'm not giving that up yet. So yeah, because a lot of people drop just because they find a lot of excitement and um, in because see, the spiritual part is also, it can also lead one to some kind of excitement, some kind of wow, it's a wonderful thing. And they drop everything just because it appears exciting, and then they don't know how to continue sustaining, and they come back. And then what would have happened is that thing that they have tried to do now leaves a slight bad taste, because it'll say that, yeah, I've seen that, I've been there. I know of someone who actually left home, went to an ashram, stayed with 3 years there. And after that, he felt a little, it didn't work for him. He came back and he took a job, got married, and settled down. Nothing wrong in doing the latter. But then what happens is there is this thing saying that, yeah, I've been to an ashram, I've lived there, I've seen it, there's nothing. So then it kind of almost creates an obstacle for you to go further also. So karma swanushthiyatam. Until karma drops, you don't drop it. It will drop on its own accord. It will. The only ways, as I said, your intention and intensity on one side, you keep increasing. This will drop on its own without any resistance from you or from the people around you. Karma swanushthiyatam. Teneshasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. With whatever actions that you're doing, that you offer it. So whenever you're, so this karma yoga, it's talking about karma yoga, because the process is for you to also cleanse your mind, chitta shuddhi. As we do actions, we offer it, we keep offering it. Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpaya sadashivayeti samarpaya jagadambikayeti samarpaya sadgurunathayeti samarpaya. So we do this in every following, you see, of faith. There is a process of submitting your actions, offering your actions to the Lord. Why does that happen? So that you first disengage from that action, and then only then you can do karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. That to get that feeling that this karma I am not associated with, how does it happen? I offer it to Lord. Nallado kettado, I give it to you, oh Bhagavan. Good or bad, I offer it to you. Of course, I'm not doing bad intentionally. I'm not doing bad intentionally and then I'm saying I'm offering it to you. No. Whatever action I do, I don't know whether it's good or bad. It may be hurting somebody. It may be, I don't know. I am doing it to the best of my knowledge, to be harmless, to be non-violent, to bring harmony, peace, whatever. But whichever way it turns out, I offer it to you. This we develop. Teneshasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Honoring. We honor. Then kamye matistyajatam. From desires. Kamye, from desires, or you remove the mind. Matihi tyajyatam. You remove desires from the mind, or renounce desires from the mind, means what? The platform where desires fructify is in the mind. Then you convert it into action or not is a subsequent thing. But actual fructification of a desire happens in the mind. If you've acknowledged a desire that's rising and acknowledge saying that, yes, this is a desire I need to act upon, the moment you're acknowledging it, there is fructification in some form or the other. Because if you don't act upon it after establishing that, yes, this is a desire, if you don't, then it leaves another impression of dissatisfaction. So in the mind itself, is it possible for me to not let it fructify? Which means it's a desire that is rising, and I am observing it. I look at this desire that is rising within me, and I have an objective view of the desire. Now, the important thing is to create least amount of friction within our system. As we always say, right? We have to move through this life smooth, create least amount of friction. It's easy to say renounce desires, because we right now don't even know what to renounce, what desires to renounce. So then it becomes very confusing saying that you renounce all desires, but you're saying continue to be in the world, continue to work, continue to do all of this. Then there is a contradiction within to say, what is it that I have to actually renounce? Actual thing that needs to be renounced is the clinging on to desires. You have to remember this. It's not the desire that is so much of an issue. The clinging onto it is the issue. So I have a desire, I want to do something, and I try my best of my ability to do it. But whether it happens or doesn't happen, how do I, what is my relationship to that desire? That is of most importance. When you're saying renounce the desire, it actually means renounce the clinging to the desire, because you can't renounce desire literally. Like we say, Kama Deva, Kameshwara, he is Kama. From Kama came the whole world. The whole creation has come out of Kama, which is desire. So you cannot rid yourself of desire, and it's a futile effort. And it will put you into a place where you will completely lose hope of this whole spiritual path. You'll say, what nonsense is this? It's confusing me. I don't have, I'm feeling conflicted, which is where the friction needs to be reduced. How do you reduce friction? Is by not clinging. Sherry, okay, I did my best. Pantam uttapa. And the vittutempa, I left it. Appadingarthu has to be very honest to oneself, not in terms of saying it words to somebody. It has to be extremely honest to oneself in a way that the next action that we do has to reflect this understanding that yes, I have vitute, I have dropped it. Right? So, kamye matis tyajyatam. From the mind, renounce the clinging of to anything. Don't have to cling on to anything. Why only desire? Basically anything. Desire is the root of aspirations. Desire is the root of ambition. Desire is the root of everything. All of these things are there. It's beautiful. It has a part to play in your life, in the world, with people, but don't cling. Right? And the cling wrap, you've seen, we buy it from the stores. We use it to cling whatever objects when you're traveling, particularly when we're flying out, etc. It's an extremely good, that cling wrap is so good that it holds the thing together. But imagine when you have to take the cling wrap out. I don't know how many of you have experienced it. It's an extremely painful affair. When you do a cling wrap, it feels so packed and so beautiful, so nice. It's like, appa, very nice, very nicely packed. Now imagine you have to now start unclinging the wrap and you want to use it.
சில இடத்துல they keep a small knife like thing along with it and wrap it up. You can take that out and use to cut it.
So you
So we
have to
need that.
cut it.
We need that knife to cut it. We need a knife in our life to cut that cling.
Exactly. So we need to, the only way to uncling is to cut it. And cutting is not an easy thing, right? I mean, cutting something in your life is not an easy thing. So why cling in the first place? So what he's saying is don't cling wrap. And then carry a knife to cut it, because every time it's going to bleed. You're going to bleed. Every time you cut something in your life, your relationship, your aspiration, your ambition, your desire, whatever, whenever you cut it off, cutting is a painful process. because you're severing. So don't cling. Right? Don't do rounds and rounds of cling wrap. Papaughaf paridhuyatam. He says, remove the sins. Dhuya paridhuyata means keep removing, cleansing of your sins. Cleansing of your sins is not like we go to the confession and say, "Oh Father, may you remove all my sins," and then I go back to my ways of the world, my ways again. There has to be some kind of transformation. And by sins, what we mean by papa means those actions that you know are that is going to be detrimental to your spiritual progress. Don't think of papa's punya as something that's very clearly defined. Today's world, it is not clearly defined. It's very, very hazy. But anything that is going to cause harm to your own spiritual growth, your own inner fulfillment, that consider that as a sin. It is sin what? Atmahano janaha in Ishavasya Upanishad. Second verse comes. Third verse. Asurya namate loka andhena tamasavrataha. Tamste pretyabhigachanti yeke chatmahano janaha. Don't do atmahanaha. Means killing yourself. Suicide means killing yourself, means you're doing things that is detrimental to your own spiritual growth, your own spiritual progress, your own spiritual understanding. Those things, consider them as sins. As long as it's not something that, then it's all right. Then Sriramji, I'll come to your question, Sriramji. Then bhavasukhe dosho anusandhiyatam. Bhavasukhe, in this world, know that all the pleasures of the world, bhava sukhe, the pleasures of the world, has pain in it. Anusandhiyatam, understand this. There is dosha in the bhava sukha. In the sukha that you experience in the samsara, there is dosha. There is fundamentally there is some kind of flaw. It is flawed fundamentally, because it is always either bundled with pain, or it is bundled with a dryness that comes at the end of the sukha enjoyment. You're left high and dry, or it is bundled with the want for more of the same. These are three doshas that are there with bhava sukha. One dosha is it ends, that sukha ends. The sukha that you're experiencing in material enjoyments and in the world, that ends, comes to an end. Second, it leaves you wanting for more. It leaves you wanting for more. And third, there is always pain that follows this. Some form of pain that will be there. You will notice this in your own life. You will see there is sukha, there is dukkha. Sukha, dukkha. It will be there. So these three doshas are there. Says understand this, anusandhiyatam, understand this. And then says atma ichha vyavasiyatam. I'll take 5 more minutes today and we'll close the first verse. Atma ichha vyavasiyatam means develop this desire to for atma ichha. Like we always quote this, right? Vivekananda said the only desire that is worth having is the desire for God. The only love is worth having is the love for God. So Atma Ichha, drop all the Ichha. See, in the previous one, he is saying Kamya Mati Satyajyatyam. You drop off all Kama. Ichha is also Kama, desire. There's two different words. But here he is saying Atma Ichha. Atma Ichha Vyavasiyatam. Establish Atma Ichha. So you drop all other desires, clinging on to other desires, but cling on to this one thing. So now, Sriramji, your question, should we glide into spirituality instead of following a burning desire? Now, as if you cling on to this one desire, Atma Ichha, then whatever happens, see, it's like when you are I'm trying to think of a good example. Okay. So one good example that occurs is this of this little child who is in the aircraft, which is and the aircraft is going through severe turbulence, and everybody is worried. The oxygen mask and all that drops off, and the little child is sitting there comfortably reading a book. It's not perturbed, disturbed at all, and everybody around. And then when everything settles down, everybody's clapping, and then they wonder and they go ask the child, "How come you remained calm throughout the whole thing?" And the child says, "Because the pilot is my father." So somehow inside the mind, the child has established that father will protect me. My father will protect me. And doesn't matter what turbulence, whatever happens, I am holding on to this. This flight is what I'm holding on to. My father I'm holding on to. Doesn't matter what turbulence, he will ensure that I am safe. He will not care about the rest of you all, but he will want to land this safely just because I am there. Now, this is that clinging. Now you cling on. You're leaving. When we say you drop off all the other clingings of any desire, but you cling on to this one desire, Atma Ichha, it may be a turbulent ride. But because this Atma, whatever we refer to this Atma, is compassionate, it's Karuna Murti. See, whether we call this Atma or you call it Bhagavan or you call it Devi, whatever you want to call that Ishta Devata, give it some name from some form. If you want to do Nirakara or Nirguna Upasana, don't give it any name form. Close your eyes and experience that presence. You know that this presence is ever protective. Avataraha, like we said on Omkara, Avataraha means to protect. Avatvamam, Avavaktaram, Avashrotaram, Avanuchanam, Avasishyam. Ava means protection, protection, protection. This protection, Raksham, Rakshati Mam. This protection is always offered, which is why the even Christianity, it's called the Holy Ghost. The third one is called the protector. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. That is called the protector. So Omkara, Nada Brahman. This protection, experience that protection within that, yes, I am being protected. And now, whether we do it as Nirakara or Nirguna, or we do Saguna, then I look at my Devi, I say, she is there. What is there for me? I am protected. She is flying my plane. She is the pilot. Now, this Ichha, I hold on to. I cling on to this one Ichha. Vyavasiyatam. I establish this Ichha, and then I let go everything else. Other Ichha I drop. I drop means I drop the clinging on to it. I keep doing it, knowing that this, my mother is there, my father is there. Parvati Parameshwaro, or Narayana, Lakshmi Narayana, Lakshmi Narasimha, whoever, they are there as my father and mother. And I hold on to that and I don't care. Now, this is the Atma Ichha, Vyavasiyatam. Then he says, Nijagriha Turnam Vinirgamyatam. So he closes saying that now you're ready to let go, escape from the bondage that you call as home. Which means when you do all of this, it doesn't mean that Grihyatam, Vinirgamyatam doesn't necessarily mean that you leave and go. It means you're ready now through this process to go deeper within you. And the bondage that you call as home, why do we have to leave the house and go? Because we feel some kind of bonding, not bonding, we feel bondage, we feel bonded. I'm not able to do this, I'm not able to do that, and so on and so forth. That bonded feeling, bondage feeling that is there, that is That is what we experience, and we call that in my griha I am feeling all this. Hence, I want to take sannyasa. Hence, I want to leave and go. But he's saying that if you do all of this, then can be wherever you are, but you would have escaped that bondage, feeling of bondage. You will be able to continue to do what you're doing, all of this. Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam karmasvanushthiyatam. You can do all of this by being in the place where you are. So this vinirgamyatam means not leaving the home, but leaving the feeling of bondage that you carry as home. And then you feel free. Even the place where you are, you continue to practice, you continue to develop, you do all of this. Then that itself becomes your place for sadhana. That itself becomes your place for inner exploration, deeper, whatever. All of that will become, that place will become that. And the other, this is one meaning. The other meaning will close now. The other meaning is you will have to come out of your comfort zone that you call as home. Very important. To be on the spiritual path, we have to shake up, constantly shake ourselves from the comfort zone that we are in. I like to do this only. I like to be like this only. I like to do, the way we are, we've kind of uh, conditioned ourselves in certain ways, in a certain way. That becomes comfort zone. That comfort zone you have to break. That breaking of the comfort zone is what is sadhana. So today we are starting with Sadhana Panchakam. Notice wherever you're going into a comfort zone and it is not spiritually uplifting or enriching you, shake it up. Shake it up. Move a little bit. If you think, we also spoke the other day about creating, going into a space of sattva and then churning. Sagara Manthana. We spoke about the Sagara Manthana, the churning. The churn is important. In Bhagavad Gita, we were looking at that particular verse. We say you need to churn. Why are we churning? So that we bring out those things which are in us, which are pulling us down. And how do? You do that so that you come out of that comfort zone. Let me look at this problem that I have within me. Let me look at this particular aspect. Let me not just settle down within it. Right? Correct. We are clinging on to something. You're clinging on to your own comfort. When you say you're clinging on to some kind of comfort and you don't want to shake up, you don't want to get up, explore, then you're also clinging on to that. You're clinging on to laziness, tardiness, clinging on to some kind of procrastination. அப்புறம் பண்ணிக்கலாம் 60 வயசு அப்புறம் 70 வயசு அப்புறம் 80 I'll do it when I'm 60, 70, 80. That also keeps going on. So this is whatever form of comfort that you get. Even in sadhana, don't fall into comfort. Remember this. We'll close with this. Even in sadhana, don't go into comfort. We spoke about it yesterday. Do it intensely with intention for a period of time, for a mandala, and then take a break, withdraw a little bit, observe, evaluate, and then take up something. If you do something that you're doing regularly for like 40 years, 30 years, 50 years, you'll form a ritual of it. You'll form a ritual of it and it'll become just a habit, like you're going and brushing your teeth. How much attention do we pay to brushing our teeth? Hardly. It'll become like that. Let your sadhana not become that. So nija griha aturnam vinirgamyatam. Escape from, or keep constantly breaking out of this comfort zone that you're carrying. Keep shaking it up a little bit. Shaking up keeps you aware, keeps you awake. Right? So with that, we finish the first verse. He says, Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam karma swanushtiyatam तेनेशस्य विधीयताम् अपचितिः काम्ये मतिस्त्यज्यताम् पापौघः परिधूयताम् भवसुखे दोषोऽनुसन्धीयताम् आत्मेच्छा व्यवसीयतां निजगृहात् तूर्णं विनिर्गम्यताम्। ॐ कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। सदाशिवायेति समर्पयामि, जगदम्बिकायेति समर्पयामि, सद्गुरुनाथायेति समर्पयामि। हरि ओं तत्सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। गुरुदेव
हरि ओम गुरुजी।
हरि ओम।
नमस्ते, हरि ओम।